So Rainier, what does a landscape architect do exactly, and how does the expertise benefit a homeowner?
Is ready to meet with the clients and to find out what their dreams are. Most times I'm trying to create that outdoor space that suits their needs. Some of that might be very basic, might be the sound of running water, might be flowers and nature that's in your garden, or it might get a little bit more extravagant. Maybe there's a swimming pool or a hot tub awaiting them or an outdoor kitchen for entertainment.
What should homeowners expect during their initial consultation with a landscape architect, and how can they prepare for it?
What they need to do to prepare for it is talk as a family, talk as a couple, and find out what are essential things that they must have. Those are the needs. And then there's wishes. There's wishes, maybe a hot tub isn't a need, but it's a wish, and maybe it may not fit in their plan. So they come up with a bit of a list, but really it's up to me as a designer when I meet with them is to draw that out of them, to find out what are their preferences, what they accomplish in their backyard, and ask those questions of maybe they have personality tastes. Maybe they have some colors they like. Maybe there's some styles. I meet people who are world travelers and they want that kind of whimsy in their yard. So I'm trying to draw from their needs and kind of their personal taste.
How do you approach the design process to ensure it aligns with the homeowner's vision and needs?
I always start with the basic steps. Of course, I've got all my notes. I'm a very detailed note taker. That I'm writing everything that they want in the yard, everything that they need. And occasionally if a client, whether it's the wife or the husband or someone, the child, they have a buzzword they say, we really want this to look natural. They really want this to look authentic. If they have a buzzword they repeat more than once, I write that down in my notes. And that's sort of my mantra as I design.
Okay.
I measure the yard. I draw up what's on the yard. I draw the perimeter, the house. And then I put trace paper. I'm old school. I put trace paper and I write all my notes all around the outside edges. And occasionally I'll use red to say, hey, this is the most important thing that they want. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget this. I start taking cues off the home, lines that may come off the mass of the home. Big ingredient is thinking about pedestrian flow. How are they and their family and guests expected to move from one space into the other? That's invitational, that's logical. The last thing I want my clients to do as homeowners is to have to explain to guests how to get to a certain part of the yard, or if they're to which bathroom is for the cabana, which door it is. Everything should just be logical.
Well, many homeowners have budget constraints. How can a landscape architect help balance their design and vision with their budget?
What's most important is that I give them some sense of a budget to begin with, and to make sure the materials I'm picking don't exceed that budget. So there's paving stones, and then there's natural rock, and then there's wall made out of an Allen or Pisa block, and then there's a wall made out of mortared stone. I have to make choices while I'm designing which this might be. Now, most often the lines or the shape of what I'm drawing isn't dependent on material, so I can always use the magic word option. So I could say Allen block Pisa, option mortared stone wall. And that just, at least it's on paper. We get the prices and they'll quickly say, you know what? We won't do that, we'll do this. What's also really good with what a landscape plan is that you could do it in stages. They might say, gosh, we really, really wanted that outdoor kitchen, but we can't afford the $10,000 or $15,000 budget for it now. So all we do now is rough in the piping to it and leave it to another stage.
When selecting a landscape architect, are there certain qualifications or certifications they should look for?
When a homeowner is considering their dream yard, investing their thoughts and dreams about a swimming pool or an outdoor entertainment area, they need to pick the right person for sure. Every designer needs to have experience and qualifications, whether it's a landscape architect with a 4-year or a 6-year degree, or myself, a designer with a 2-year diploma at BCIT. You need someone with several years of experience. But I would say the most important thing is a rapport. I'm always at the BC Home and Garden Show. I have a display there, and I see clients come into my display, and we talk.
How do you go about creating a design that reflects the homeowner's style and preferences while ensuring it's functional and sustainable?
Yeah, for me, design is always very personable and specific to the client. I really enjoy having a meeting with a client in their home because I'm looking at the art on the wall or no art on the wall. I'm looking at furniture, maybe a few exotic pieces they got from traveling, and then I can start tell that they may be a bit more adventurous perhaps with the landscape. If I'm walking through a home that's very conservative and they haven't taken many risks, then I think, well, I'll just dial it back a bit and find out their preference. I will bring my portfolio and show them pages of it. There's oftentimes they'll like one or two, and I'll know I can't repeat that design because the shape's different, but I'll go, well, that's a style that they like. There's something about that one that they like, and I'll try to recreate something of the essence of that design.
What is the role of the landscape architect in obtaining necessary permits and approvals for a project, and how can this simplify the process for homeowners?
Where permitting comes for me is typically I involve my contractors. As a designer, I might not be as experienced with the ins and outs of the project. So I, at an early stage, involve perhaps a pool contractor, or if we're building a cabana, I involve the contractor who will build it and ask some questions and make sure that I'm not getting ahead of what needs to be built or what could be built, and make sure that that's a relationship I'm having.
Weather and climate can impact landscape. How do you design outdoor spaces that can withstand different weather conditions and seasons?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, so many of my clients, they want to entertain year round, or at least 3 seasons. 3 seasons, kind of the shoulder of spring and fall. But those shoulder seasons, we know, are a bit chilly, and yet the sun comes out and people are golfing and sailing and they want to get outside. So to extend that space, first of all, I make sure there's landscape lighting. So those evenings where the light's fading in early spring or fall, the landscape lighting still brings a feeling of some excitement and some life to the yard. We install heaters, whether they're gas heaters or electric heaters, and that extends that life, or fire tables.
Maintenance is a concern for many homeowners. Can you provide advice on how to plan for easy to maintain landscape?
It's the most common question I have. Not everyone has a budget where they're going to have a gardener coming in once a week. When I finished design school, I did work for a landscape contractor where we went to yards repeatedly once a week to do the maintenance. So I know firsthand that if you have a large yard and you want to look pristine, it will take work, whether you're going to hire or whether you're going to do it yourself. So the way to make it lower maintenance is to pick the right plants. Some plants need fussing. They need staking up, or their flowers all collapse. So I avoid those. The shape of the lawn, you know, when I did maintenance for that year or two, I still remember shapes of lawns that took so long. You're going in and out, in and out, in and out with a lawnmower. And I avoid those shapes.
Sustainability is important to many homeowners. How can a landscape architect incorporate eco-friendly practices and materials into their designs?
And I guess what you're doing is you're treating your own landscape as its own ecosystem. You're inviting birds and hummingbirds and wildlife. Well, let's leave the bears and the cougars out, but you're bringing in bees and you're bringing in hummingbirds. And, you know, if we think we're going to have bees that are continue to live in our city, you need to give them the right environment for that. I think an irrigation system, it sounds like it's a luxury, but what you're doing is you're avoiding putting a sprinkler out with hoses and running at the wrong time of the day, because simply you're going to get up at 9, you're going to go to bed at 9, and that's not the right time. So you do an irrigation system that doesn't have rotor heads, but it has drip irrigation that comes on at 5 or 6 in the morning when there's no evaporation. Those are some of the things that are sustainable. Some of them are natural, and some of them involve technology. Okay.
Can you share any tips or insights for homeowners to make the most out of their collaboration with a landscape architect to ensure a successful project?
I like the word collaboration because I really do that. I love the couple that invite their kids to look at the plan, and that's really fun. You know, I just try to cater it specifically for that family. So I do ask the ages of their kids. And if they say, oh, we've got 3 kids and they're 5, 6, and 8, then I think, okay, I often start thinking like a kid. How would the kid like this? So it's not the magazine, it's not the bells and whistles. How would a kid with his little buddies come running into the backyard and play sports or kick and if I think they're soccer kids, because I'm seeing some soccer events, they don't want bushes against the fence. They're going to kick soccer balls against that fence. Yeah. So it all gets specifically catered to them. I think when you have an open ear and you create a space that listens to them, you get to the end with collaboration.